Friends, Namaskaram. My name is S. Anandmurthy, your well-wisher, and today's topic is about inflation. Inflation. We heard a lot of things of inflation. We are all going through the effects of inflation in day-to-day life. What is meant by inflation? The technical term, normally inflation means the rise in the prices of goods and services. That means a liter of milk which cost lesser 10 years back, now it's become costlier. This is not due to the rise in the quality, but due to the rise in the inflation. Then what will be the effect of inflation on our day-to-day life? That is, it reduces the purchasing power. That means what we are able to buy 10 years back for 100 rupees will not be the same for today. That means inflation is bad, though we don't want any inflation. Okay, right. Let us assume like for the moment there is no inflation. Then what will be the effect on us? The amount you are invested, the deposits you make in the bank, everything will stand still. So that means inflation is needed for our life. Inflation is needed. The only thing is inflation has to be in control, so that it does not disturbs the day-to-day activities to larger extent. So let's understand about demand and supply. We all know that when there is more demand for any product or services, the price rises. And when there is a less demand for a product and services, the price drops. From the supply point of view, when there is more supply of any products or services, the price drops. When there is limited supply of any products or services, the price rises. Let us take an example. We all know that we use vegetables in our day-to-day life. When there is a shortage of vegetables, it can be an onion or it can be a tomato. When there is more supply, the price of tomato or onion will come down. When there is less supply, the price of onion or tomato goes up. So let's categorize the inflation in three categories. One, demand pull inflation, cost push inflation, inbuilt inflation. What is meant by demand push inflation? As we discussed earlier, when there is more demand, there will be a rise in the prices. And what is meant by cost push inflation? Let us take an example of a milk products. So every day we use milk. So there is a series of action before the milk reaches to the milk parlor. Mean to say, they need to collect the milk from the village or from the farmers. That has to be taken to the dairy. It has to be processed. Again, it has to be sent to the containers, then sent to the milk parlor. So when there is so much of activities, a lot of cost is involved, a lot of people and process is involved. When there is a increase in the prices, for example, if there is a labor cost has been increased or transportation cost increased or any other value-added cost is increased, obviously the price will reflect on the end product, that is milk. So based on the underlying cost, the price is calculated. Sometimes there are some certain factors which affects the price. For example, to say, for recent developments, we can see the conflict between or a war between the Ukraine and Russia. Even though the war is between Russia and Ukraine, the impact on oil is much more. So the entire world is facing the fluctuation of oil due to the war between Russia and Ukraine. So there are various parameters or causes for inflation. So how we measure the inflation? There are two types. So inflation can be measured like wholesale price index or consumer price index. Suppose the wholesale price index is calculated at the producer's level. Suppose to produce a service or a product, if the producer has to incur a cost of 10 rupees year back, now he incurs a cost of 11 rupees. There is a inflation of 10% in the wholesale price index at the producer's level. Let us assume the same product and services to reach us, that means the end consumer, it takes 12 rupees. Now, earlier I used to get at 11 rupees, now I am getting 12 rupees. There is a inflation of 0.9% or 10% approximately. Today I have 100 rupees. I can buy some X amount of goods and services for 100 rupees. Will it be the same for next year? The goods and services which I am buying today will be at the same price will get to, after 1 year? No. As we discussed, the inflation matters. That means if the amount I am spending today, I need to spend much more for 1 year. Let us assume inflation is around 5%. So today I am spending 100 rupees. For the same set of goods and services, I need to pay 105 rupees next year. So that means there is a 5% increase in the cost due to inflation. How I need to manage the inflation and what are the precautions I need to take, or what are the decisions I need to take before investments to beat the inflation. So let's understand how inflation will affect our investment decision. Now we have two investment options, one in bank FD and another one we can be in, for example, we take off mutual funds. If we invest 1 lakh rupees today, we will be getting around 1,06,000 for the next year. Similarly, let us assume the investment in stock market in the longer run around 10 to 12%. That means if I invest in the stock market or in mutual funds, I will be getting around 1,10,000 or 12,000 rupees. So here my rate of return in nominal terms are 6% in FDs and in 10 to 12% in mutual funds. But actually, how much return I am really making? So as we discussed earlier, the inflation is 6%. Today, whatever the purchasing power I got today for 100 rupees, that will be getting only for 106 rupees next year. Inflation is around 6%. The bank FDs which I am getting at 6%, the return 6% which is getting from bank FDs is same as inflation. Honestly, there is no return at all. Similar way, the return which I am getting from mutual funds, 10% or 12%, after deducting the inflation, so I am getting 5%. This is called as real rate of return. So friends, whenever we make of investment or whenever we think of investment decision, so we need to calculate on the real rate of return, not on the nominal rate of return. So we may ignore inflation while calculating our investments or return, but inflation never ignores us. And today's quote, death without achievement is a shame for death, and life without values is a shame for life. Thank you.